Right. Do. Let's just go to google.com and hopefully it'll just give us an IP address. So, all right. Oh no, I don't care about you, Firefox. All right. Let's see if DNS is doing our job. Yeah. Okay. So our domain controller is doing its job. All right. Good times. Now, why is this important? Well, that's because if we do anything that's domain related, we're going to need the domain controller to do the resolution of those fully qualified domain names. So for our private DNS. So for an example here, if we go to our computer, right, and we go to System Properties, okay, and we go to Change Settings, okay, and then if we go to Change, by the way, I'll call this PC1. And let's join the domain. And I think I made a domain of itninja.lab, I think it was. That's our make-believe organization here, itninja.lab. And as you can see, it found itninja.lab and is asking us to join the domain using our administration credentials. And that's how it should work. But without pointing to that DNS server, it wouldn't be able to resolve that, because that's not a public DNS record. So, all right, here we go. So administrator, and it should say welcome to the domain, and we know that it worked. So it will reboot the machine because also I changed the computer name, so I thought I'd just do both at the same time. And while that is happening, let's go ahead and talk about, well, I'm waiting for that whole welcome. Okay, there we go. Welcome to the domain. All right. Aw, thank you. That's so nice of you. And then it should reboot the computer eventually. Yeah, I swear. I am still waiting for this day for my laptop here to catch on fire with all these VMs. So, well, while that's thinking, all right, there we go. Yep, yep. Okay, yep. Restart now. Good times. All right, we had a problem. Mr. 40 Duck here, he actually got a little bit too enthusiastic about the FortiGate, and he was playing around with some system settings. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really want Mr. Duck here to mess around with the guts of the FortiGate. Maybe I just want him doing administration stuff. All right. And then also we're thinking about hiring Bob, and Bob is brand spanking new. Okay. And I want him to learn the FortiGate, but I don't want him to touch the FortiGate when it comes to actually making changes, because the FortiGate's special in the sense of if you make a change and hit apply, or you hit the end in the CLI, you have committed. What? All right. So we're going to take advantage of our domain controller and make tiered support. We're going to do different levels of support. And I've done all of these in my videos, guys. I'm just kind of doing it for myself to see if I can do it on the fly. So here's our domain controller, and we have no group set up yet, but I'm going to go ahead and open up my users and computers here, and I'm going to make some accounts. So for starters, I'm going to make an account for our FortiGate and also our Fortinet products. And the reason why is because that's almost going to act like a service account in the sense of, you know, I don't have to worry about the FortiGate getting fired and suddenly all of our FortiGate domain LDAP binds stop working. Also, if I had an email server here too, I'd make the FortiGate its own email credentials. So anyways, but let's go ahead and open this bad boy up, and I'm going to go to File, I'm going to say New, and I'm just going to do a new container here. So where is my OU? There we go. And I'm just going to call this Support. All right, there we go. And then I am going to make a user for the FortiGate. So I'll just say FortiGate. FortiGate, there we go. And he'll be FortiGate at IT Ninja Lab. And because he's going to be acting like a service account, he will not change his password, and it won't expire, and it'll be long and complex in real life, right, guys? There we go. All right, now the FortiGate will have its own thing. It can do its own thing. So good times there. All right. Then I'm going to make a group here, and I'm going to call it FortiAdmins, and I'll just say, I don't know, level 1. Okay. And that is going to be our read-only group. And I'm going to say admins level 2, and that will be our standard users. So they will be able to look at the FortiGate without seeing like the system settings. All right. So, and then we're going to have a third tier, and this is going to be our super users like myself. All right. So I'll say 40. I can hardly see that. 40 admins level 3. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and make Bob's account. So here's Bob. Go to Bob. All right. And obviously just, now normally I would make him change his password, right? But, what you call it, it's a test lab. And I'm taking advantage of my schizophrenia here. So, all right, here we go. Let's go ahead and copy. And this will be a FortiDuck. There we go. FortiDuck. And he will have the same kind of biz. There we go. And then I'm Devin. Oh, that's a group. So I'll make another account and I'll call him Devin because that's my name. Don't wear it out. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, just kidding. I can change my password. I can do what I want. I'm a super user do. All right, here we go. There we go. Cannot set the password Devin because the password does not meet the requirements. Of course it doesn't. All right. Here I am trying to use weak passwords. All right. There we go. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and go to level 1. I'm going to go ahead and add Bob. There's Bob. And then level 2 support is going to be Mr. Duck. Good old Mr. Duck. FortiDuck. They better not come out with a FortiDuck and like sue me. All right, here we go. Quack. Knowing FortiGate, they probably will. Or Fortinet. They have a duck for everything. All right, here we go. And then Devin. All right, so we have our groups, we have our OU, we have our Fortinet account, right? FortiGate. And we should be ready to do the LDAP bind. So let's go ahead and set up our admins using LDAP. Now the real reason why we're doing this too, guys, is because even as an administrator, I don't want to know your password. I don't want to enforce credentials and like complexity rules and expirations and accounts in general in more than one place. So I'm just going to keep them all in Windows. Now I have had the argument of, hey, you know what though? Aren't you really compromising the security of the FortiGate because couldn't your system admin start assigning people to levels? Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that's the whole point of us being administrators, guys. We should be ethical, okay? And there should be things like separation of duties. There should be change management. There should be proper onboarding, offboarding, checklists to do, so on and so forth. In fact, I almost like the idea that the duties are separated and you have to go through someone else to do these permissions. Of course, a level 3 or a super admin will have these rights, but we shouldn't even be there unless we're making actual changes to the FortiGate's configurations anyways. So I'm just saying that because those are excellent arguments that we've had in class, and it really comes down to your environment, your integrity, your actual policies, like your security policies that come from the top. So wah, wah, wah. Let's keep going. Are you guys ready? So, quack. All right, let's do this. That's going to get old real fast, right, FortiDuck? So let's log into our Windows machine. Hey, it booted up. Yay. Now we can actually join it to the domain. So here we go. We're going to do a, we're going to have to switch users because we're now on the domain controller. I'm going to log in as Devin, actually. Why not? Here we go. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that awesome? I can use my credentials. Okay, so that's going to take a second to boot up there. And once again, just to kind of explain what we're doing while it's preparing my desktop here, I do not want to maintain credentials in more than one place, and I'm setting up my admin accounts. And you know what? We probably should have done this before we did anything else, right? In real life, that should be one of the first things out of the box. You take away that admin account that's out of the box that you can't delete, you know, maybe take it offline and just have it kind of like as a backup in case we'll use excuse me guys, when we lose access to the domain controller, and you know, maybe we have to log into the FortiGate locally. So all right, so here we go. I'm logged in. Let's get to the FortiGate and do some magic. So I'm gonna have to turn off Arrow here. I'll probably do that right now, actually, while I'm dinking around here. So now, if you are going to use these VMs that come from GNS3, if you go to your system settings and you turn off all the virtual or visual enhancements, guys, they'll run a lot smoother. So, or if you have the beast of credentials to do it, you can always just leave it purdy, I guess. So, one of these days, I'm going to get like a really beefy, like a ESXi server or something with tons of cores, and I'll be able to play around in my virtual world as much as I want to. So, all right, here we go. So 10, 10, 1, 2, 5, 4. Here we are. All right. Of course, we're getting a cert error because my FortiGate is unknown. Okay. All right, there we go. So admin and then my password, because we haven't set up any admin accounts yet. So, okay. And here's our FortiGate. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and go to my something here. I need to update it. Maybe that's something we'll do in another video. All right, so we are going to first set up the LDAP bind. So we're going to come down here to LDAP servers. Okay. And then we're going to point it to the domain controller. So create new. And I'm a big fan of actually calling it by its host name. itninja.lab. There we go. That way it'll make sense to us. And it's going to be 10.10.1.10. Alright, we're going to use just LDAP, our common name. Now remember guys, if you're using the common name or your login name, common name is going to be the full name. Your login credentials or what have you is going to be SAM account name. Alright, so don't forget that. And a lot of people will fudge it up here trying to do the distinguished name of where you start the LDAP search. I suggest just doing the bind first, because you can do it just by your username. And I'm going to say FortiGate, because remember we made it its own account. And I've personally found out that as long as you are a domain user, you can do the bind, because all it's really doing, guys, is querying for that distinguished name. All right, it doesn't actually store any credentials. It just passes them right to the AD controller and domain controller. And yeah, check this out. We can now pick where on our tree to start our search. Okay, and you know what? I'm gonna just pick it from the top. All right, but if you have a specific site, or you know, a certain OU, or if you want to skip all these user groups and just hop right to users, you can do that. There's our support. Here I'm going to do the top of the tree just to give us more flexibility later on. So, and guess what, guys? We just set up an LDAP bind. What? Pretty cool, huh? So, and now to get our tier support, because remember Bob is going to be one tier, and then FortiDuck is going to be the second one, and then level 3 is going to be me, the super user. So you actually have to start here with user groups. All right, so we're going to create that first level 3. So I'm just going to say you know what, I'll just call them by their levels. I know what it's talking about. So, and now normally we could pick ones that are stored locally on the FortiGate, but you know what, I don't want to know your credentials. I don't want to manage your account. I'm just going to say, hey, if you log in and you come back from the domain controller as what? As a part of this group, and you have to right click and say add selected, by the way, guys. If you got to see a green there and hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and associate you with this local firewall group. That way we don't have to maintain accounts in more than one place. Okay, so let's do it again. This one's going to be for level 2. And we're going to say anyone that comes back from our domain controller, all right, specifically from level 2, go ahead and associate them with this misspelled group. I got to get more sleep. All right, there we go. And last but definitely not least is going to be our level 3 admins. And it's going to be anyone that comes back from the AD controller. All right. Boom. There we go. Right click, add selected. What? Hit OK. All right. So there we go. So we got the LDAP bind. Then we pointed our AD groups with the groups here. And by the way, guys, I was just watching a video on the new FortiOS, and I guess you can now skip this part, and just point directly now to user groups with FSSO, which is so cool. So in other words, you can skip making these individual users here. You can just point right to the right to the group memberships in AD. I'm gonna have to try that out sometime. So stuff is changing all the time. Anyways, let's go ahead and move forward. So I'm going to go to system now, and I'm going to look at the admin profiles and just make sure that I have the profiles that I want. So for right now, I have super admins and POF admins only. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to say standard. All right, and this is going to be for FortiDuck, and FortiDuck can read write everything except for the system settings. I don't want them poking in the system settings. I don't want them in the admin accounts. I don't want them anywhere except for anything that has to do with the FortiGate. All right? Because he's our level 2 guy. Standard. I could have called that level 2, by the way. Probably should have. Anyways, now that's bugging me. Can you even rename those after they're made? See how you can't? I better keep it simple, so I'll delete it. Repetition is the mother of all learning, by the way. So, all right, here we go. We'll say level 2. All right. And we'll set everything to read write except for the system. I don't even want him seeing it. All right. He's too nosy. All right, then let's go ahead and create a level 1. And they actually just have read to everything. They do not need to be poking around in the system settings. That's only for us super level 3 guys. All right. And super admin does have rights to everything. And you know what? I'm going to associate level 3 with super admin. There's no point of reduplicating that. So, but now let's go to our administrators and let's do the connection between it. So we're going to say new admins. So this one is going to be our level 3, and we are going to point to everyone in a remote group. What remote group? Our level 3 remote group, and they are going to be associated with the super admins. Yeah, how cool is that, guys, right? And then our level 3 is done. Now our level 2, these are going to be people like FortiDuck. Wow. All right, here we go. And we're going to say, all right, he's our level 2 group. And go ahead and point to anyone that comes back as a part of the level 2 group. All right. And now we'll do Bob. Level 1. All right. Remote group. Level 1. And anyone that is a part of the level 1 admin group. So there you guys go. Theoretically speaking, we should be able now to log in using our Windows credentials instead of our admin accounts that we make locally on the FortiGates because I don't want to manage them in more than one place. Now, if we do lose access to that domain controller, which is possible, all right, that's why you have a backup local one like the admin accounts. Should be very rarely ever used though, all right? So if you do have a lot of disconnectivity between the LDAP server and your FortiGates, you might want to think of a better plan B. Other than that, you know, it should be a pretty solid solution. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see if it worked though. So I'm going to log out, and I'm first going to log in as Bob. So Bob gets hired, he goes in for the day. We tell him to start playing with the FortiGate. He logs in using his own credentials, right? And as you can see here, Bob has his own account on the FortiGate. Okay? So he can poke around, he can look around. See how he can't see anything but certificates in the system? And most importantly, you know, he goes to firewall policies and he's kind of like, what do these things do? And he starts, you know, trying to drag them around, or starts, yeah, there's no editing whatsoever. He has completely read-only access because he's level 1, right? But if FortiDuck goes ahead and logs in using his own FortiDuck credentials, all right, and he's all mad at me, he's like, quack, I want to be a super admin. And he goes to tries to change his own super admin accounts. Yeah, nothing, right? But he can actually do his FortiGating. So he can come in here to the firewall policies, he can double click, he can drill down, he can commit changes, all right, because he's a level 2. Okay, pretty nice, right? Man, my whole environment's so slow. My laptop right now, by the way, sounds like it's being ran on diesel. All right, come on, man. Yeah, there we go. So anyways, but it works, I promise. So why didn't that work? Drill down, buddy. Why are you taking so long? Come on, you can do it. Yeah, I have no idea why that's taking so long to load. By the way, while that is loading though, I'm actually gonna real quickly drop down the visuals on this virtual machine. Alright, here we go. Advanced system settings. I forget I'm logged into a domain controller now. Alright, let's see here. Performance. See how they're all turned on? Ugh. Best performance. Hit OK. It'll make your Windows machines in GNS3 a lot more snappier. Even though it looks like it didn't commit it. Come on, what's the matter? Did I hit the wrong button? Administrator. Alright, here we go. Advanced, performance, settings, performance. Huh. I wonder if that won't take effect until I reboot it. So, alright, well, I don't know why that's taking so long. He should be able to go in there and edit whatever he needs to edit. So, let's see if he can't do interfaces at least. Yeah, I have no idea why that was hanging, but I promise you it's because my virtual machines aren't very powerful. So you go, FortiDuck. See how he has the commit button? And then I, being the super admin, right, I can just log in with Devin and do whatever I want because I'm a super admin. So, and then if Bob gets fired, we can go ahead and disable his account, and then automatically Bob can't log into the FortiGate. Also, he can't log into his personal machine. So, not too bad. So here we go. See how I have my super user stuff? All right. So good times there. And I can do whatever I want because I'm a super admin. Yeah. So, and yes, once again, make sure that FortiDuck isn't also a sysadmin that has sysadmin super rights on the domain controller, or he could just put himself in his own level 3. But that's why we also have account auditing. We have checks and balances. We have ethical people that we work with. All right. Yeah. So anyways, guys, way too long. Like I said, these videos are for me before I take my exam. But that's how we do tiered support on the FortiGate. So we now have our admin accounts locked into our AD. So, all right, I'm ending it there, and I'm going to take a 40 nap. So until next time.